Okay, we're live. Awesome. Hey, it's my show tonight. All right, cool. Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Thursday Night Live. For those of you who follow us a bit, you probably noticed somebody's missing. Well, that's my lovely wife, Stephanie. Actually decided to give her the night off tonight and wanted to come on and spend some time with you guys. So wait a few seconds. Let some people come on. So it looks like we got one person joining us so far. So really excited to be with everybody. Okay, got a couple more people coming on. I'm going live through StreamYard. If you see the link, I think you might need to give it permission to show your name. Otherwise, I can't see your name, your Facebook name on the comments. But I've also got my phone here. So let me see if I can get this going. Trying to multitask with the technology. Hello. Okay, we got a Facebook user says hello. I'm not sure who that is, but hello. So if you can see me okay, if you can hear me okay, let me know in the comments. Say hello as you come in. And okay, cool. So it looks like we're live in Facebook. Awesome. Yeah, this is probably the first time in a while, if not the first time ever, that I've come on for the Thursday Night Lives all by myself. So I'm excited to kind of come on with you guys. Cool. So let me just check. Okay, we're getting some hellos. Okay. Cool feature that Facebook now does auto captioning. So presumably the sound is good. It looks like the video is good too. Cool. All right. Awesome. So hello and welcome everybody. As you may or may not know, my name is David Sharon. My wife Stephanie and I host the weekly Thursday Lives every Thursday night at 9:30 Eastern Time. So yeah, I'm excited to come to you tonight. I wanted to kind of tee up tonight's call. See, the purpose, for those of you who don't know, the purpose of these weekly live trainings is to really try to bring you relevant information, strategies, and support. And again, I'm excited for tonight's call because not only am I giving Stephanie a well-deserved night off, but I also get to share some information that I'm really passionate about. And so my hope is that this will be valuable. And the odd chance I drop a gold nugget, feel free to take some notes. So what I'm going to share tonight, guys, is really just some of the insight that I've gained over the years I've spent on my own healing journey. And what we're doing is kind of a bonus is to open up the call at the end for some Q&A if you guys have any questions you'd like to ask me. A lot of people say they like the male-female perspective of our coaching. So by all means, let me know. I don't think we got any questions in the comments of the announcement post. But if you think of something as you're tuned in, definitely let me know. Also, if you're watching this as a replay, like we always like to say, feel free to interact in the stream, just as if it was live. Stephanie and I are generally really good at getting back to you and answering your questions and comments. So I got a fair amount of content. I want to make sure I fit everything in and hopefully leave some time at the end for Q&A. As Steph might tell you, if I get going on something I'm passionate about, I kind of talk a lot. So I want to make sure I respect your time as well. So if that's all good to you guys and you're ready to dive in, let me know in the comments. Okay, Shelly says I can see and hear you fine. Awesome, thank you. Quite a few hellos. Awesome. So you guys ready to dive in? We cool? All right. So let's get to it. We like to kind of tee these up by referring back to the announcement post for these live streams. We try to post some relevant questions. So let me ask you, does any of this describe you? Have you dealt with a lot of the common problems we face in this group, like PTSD, right? That's a big topic. Chronic stress, anxiety, depression, fear, confusion, self-doubt. Do you ever worry that things will never get better? Life's been going wrong for so long, you're not sure if there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Have you ever dealt with persistent bad habits, things you shouldn't do, right? Even when you know better, you still kind of backslide into bad patterns. Ever have a sense of just feeling inauthentic, uncomfortable, unable to be yourself, like just not really feeling at home in your own skin? And maybe like a lot of us, lacking that real sense of joy, confidence, self-esteem, and deep connections and relationships that we all crave. Any of that sounds familiar to anyone? Does that resonate with anyone? So what I want to kind of do to start off with is sort of tee up with my backstory. And some of you know my story You've kind of heard me talk about this before, but just a quick summary. So, as a kid, I was always kind of a dreamer. In fact, I think my Myers-Briggs is INFP, the dreamer, sort of daydreaming, but always just had a sense of awe and wonder at life's possibilities. But growing up, I soon started to feel uncomfortable, like something was missing. I was really, very intelligent and creative as a kid, but I was kind of socially awkward, hung out with the nerds. I didn't fit in, wound up getting bullied quite a bit. I know some people have dealt with that too. And it just really, developed into a sense of depression. I was confused, and not being able to figure out how life was supposed to work. I kind of got apathetic. I was really introverted, no sense of self-esteem, right? No purpose, no sense of purpose in life, a real passion. And actually it developed to the point where I became suicidal. I was just done. I was in too much pain and sadness, and it became unbearable. And it's a sensitive topic. It could be PC and let you know trigger warning, but I know a lot of you have kind of dealt with some of these thoughts and feelings too. It got pretty severe. In fact, I spent my 16th birthday in a mental institution for suicidal depression. I've done a lot of the things that, a lot of you have done, right? So therapy, I saw a bunch of different therapists and counselors. I was on the medications, Prozac and whatever the heck else they had me on. And it didn't really work. Through my teens and into early 20s, I kind of reverted to what I kind of refer to as excessive pleasure seeking. I was just doing anything I could to feel something, to feel good. And that was really through a lot of risky behavior, hanging out with the wrong types of people and a lot of the things that can come along with that. In fact, at one point, just due to my behavior, I wound up being incarcerated. I actually spent 2 days in jail. I haven't told anybody on the live stream that, but yeah, that's where I was. And luckily, that's not where the story ends, right? Finally, there was a point where I kind of just surrendered. I had tried so long to check out and cash in my chips, but I wasn't able to. I had a sense at that point that it really wasn't meant to be. I was unable to die, but still unable to live. So at that point, what happened is I kind of became more open and curious, and I started seeking knowledge. Now, over time, I gained more knowledge and insight through things like introspection, taking time to think about what I thought about and really trying to go deep and find the answers. Self-help books, some of the esoteric and spiritual titles. And even though I was, gaining a lot of that knowledge and information, my life still wasn't changing at a real level. Luckily, finally, over time, I discovered a couple really powerful methods to change at a deep level. For me, I'm all for what works, but simple is better. And for me, it was Reiki and SiteK. And I'll kind of dive into this a little bit more as we go. Radically changed my life. After that point, my life became less of a struggle, and it was more of an expression of my true self. I developed a self-esteem that I lacked for my whole life, pretty much. I found my passion, a real sense of purpose, and really excitement again about life's possibilities, where before it was like, how do I just get through the day? You know what I mean? It turned out, actually, perhaps coincidentally, at that point, bad things started happening less. Like I got into fewer accidents, fewer fights, less health issues. And good things actually started happening more. Of course, initially I thought it must be a coincidence, right? But realistically, every area of my life improved, including relationships. And as a lot of you know, eventually that led me to meeting Stephanie. Now, I don't claim to be perfect, and she probably wouldn't either, but we're perfect for each other, and it's the relationship that we've been seeking for a long time. There's less control in our relationship and more freedom, a real sense of just unconditional love and trust and really a true supportive partnership, which is what we're both looking for. And as I kind of get into this change process, again, tonight's topic is, well, how do I change my life, right? I like to make a distinction between change versus transformation. It's subtle and you might say semantics, but to me, change is sort of rearranging old ingredients, hoping to get like a new result. You know what I mean? Like if you add the flour before the eggs, and maybe you'll get a different recipe. It doesn't really work out that way, right? Transformation is quite literally becoming a different person as a result of your path of healing and growth. So how do we change, right? Let's get into it. Now, with Steph and I, in our years of experience coaching countless clients from all over the world, we've really, and coming through our own experience, we've simplified the process to awaken, transform, and thrive into 3 pillars, right? Basically 3 core principles. And I'll lay them out for you real simply, right? So number 1, if you want to change your life, get clear on where you're at. Number two, get really clear on where you want to be. And I'm going to elaborate on this in a little bit. And number three, get the tools you need to bridge the gap between where you're at and where you want to be. Sounds pretty simple, right? But it is. And guys, let me know if this resonates for you. If you like a simple, effective, easy to follow process, comment simple in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Because for me, simple is better. It doesn't need to be complicated. Okay. Let's see. I wonder if I can see more of the comments if I go in here. Okay. Cool. All right, so we got some questions coming in. I might have you, those of you who have questions for the Q&A, I might, if you're willing to stick around, I'd love to chat with you. So I might have you repost those questions more towards the end, but I'll do my best to get to those. Cool. Goldie Ray says simple. Chris, hey Chris, says simple. Cool. I love it. So let's dive into it. So pillar number one, right? Get clear on where you're at. And I'm going to give you sort of a pro tip on this. I want to give you some ideas from even like practical things you can do in exercise, right? So in terms of getting clear where you're at, I recommend that you write this down. There's a power, I think, of maybe just intention in actually taking the time and making the effort to write things down. Some even say that it's more effective to write with an actual pen and paper versus typing stuff. I like to use technology and type sometimes because it's quicker, keeps me more organized, and I don't have to try to read my chicken scratch. But grab a pad and pen and write these things down. Number one, in terms of getting clear on where you're at, you can take an inventory of the areas of your life that matter most and how successful you've been, right? Now that's different for everybody, but I find a lot of times we all want sort of the same stuff. But start taking note of the areas of your life that matter most and whether or not they're working. Obviously, if we're talking about, change, chances are the things that are important to you aren't really working out too well. Then you can notice your most common negative emotions and what seems to trigger them. Now, you might be picking up on the idea that this requires conscious examination. You know what I mean? And the reason I bring this up is because part of the problem and the reason why a lot of people don't move forward is because they're in autopilot. They just kind of go through the motions. They don't even stop to think about what they think about on a regular basis, right? So notice the common negative emotions: fear, anxiety, stress, bitterness, anger, overwhelm, and kind of notice what triggers them and write that down. Now, another big piece of this is to be willing. I'm going to challenge you guys because it was a challenge for me. Be willing to be brutally and completely honest about the role you play in your outcomes in life. Now, I'm going to add on here without judgment. Now, I know this is a trick because for myself, a lot of times I'd feel bad and then I'd feel bad about feeling bad. And it was just like this downward spiral. Judgment is not helpful of ourselves or others. Noticing is a different thing. And I've talked about that. Substitute judgment with noticing. All right. And it frees up a lot of energy and it allows you to be less attached to the emotional pain and more or less objective. Right. So you can really kind of get clear on what's going on. And this takes courage and bravery. So I commend those of you who are willing to do that. But time to get honest. You know what I mean? Right? We can play the blame game, but it's disempowering. It's not to place blame on yourself, but acknowledge where you've played a part in how your life has turned out. And then begin to look at the habits that you need to change in order to move forward. Now, I want to kind of share a key insight at this point. And I find this is really important. You don't actually, as it turns out, you don't need to understand the origin of your defective thinking and behavior in order to move past it. Sometimes, I mean, realistically, right, we don't even remember exactly what happened to us years ago that caused these negative patterns, right? A lot of people I talk to, myself included, you could spend years in traditional therapy, might even get really clear on what happened and, why you should change, why you should be kinder to yourself, why you should forgive your parents or your abuser, whatever the case may be. But even when you have that insight, a lot of times our lives still don't change. And here's a little hint. It's a little unconventional, but insight is usually insufficient for change, right? If knowing, think about it realistically, if knowing what we need to do was enough to change, most of us kind of would have changed by now. You know what I mean? So hopefully that's helpful. And again, it's all about getting clear on where you're at. You can't take a step forward unless you know like where you're standing, right? In terms of getting direction. Pillar number 2, get clear on where you want to be. And again, I'm going to recommend that you write this down. This is actually really powerful. In fact, I'll share real quick. Steph and I had each done this exercise before we even met each other, and wrote down specifically what we wanted in a romantic relationship. And I mean, we went a little nuts with it. We were specific. Like, as she wrote down, 6'3", hair is optional. You know what I mean? Musician, like all this stuff. And it's wild, the power in that. The process is that it of manifestation that it sets in motion. So write it down. But what I want to suggest for you is that you start with where you're at, right? It doesn't really help to say, okay, I wish I was, taller and, more physically beautiful, whatever, you know what I mean? Start with where you're at. But I want to encourage you guys to dream big. No limitations on what your life can become, regardless of your past or the hand you've been dealt. So for this exercise, I want you to imagine anything's possible. So think about the things that would bring you the most satisfaction in life. Now, again, a lot of times we're raised to believe that it's material things, right? Get the good job, the house, the car, blah, 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 the bank account. Then you'll have the time to do the things that matter. A lot of times we set out on that path. We don't ever really even get there. And don't get me wrong, material things are great. I have no guilt about that. And you shouldn't either. Money's not everything, but it makes the ride more enjoyable, right? Or they say you can show up to your problems in style. But what I want you to focus on is really the feelings behind it, the feelings that you want to feel. These I find are the things that we're really after. It's like that hidden reward, the things we think doing the material things will get us, right? For example, what do you want to feel? Do you want to feel peace of mind? That's golden, by the way. It's like my number one. Joy, freedom, right? A sense of being able to live your life on your own terms. Gratitude, like actually feeling in the present moment that there's abundance in your life, things to be happy about. Connection, like really connecting with people and your work on a deep level that moves you. Contribution, a sense that you're making a difference, right? Maybe you want security. Maybe you want more excitement in your life. Maybe you just want to be more optimistic, right? So focus on the feelings that you want to feel. And really start to play around with it. Get clear on what you want. Maybe you want to feel loved, cared for, respected, secure, trusted, and supported in your relationships. Maybe you're like me. You want that unshakable confidence, right? Self-esteem, resilience to stress, the ability to recognize the people and things that are really good for you, right? Like fix your broken picker-outer, right? Recognize the charlatans, the red flags early in relationships so you don't go too deep, And another thing that I think is really important in terms of getting clear on what it is that you want in your life is to begin to distinguish between your wants and needs, or what I'll also call your non-negotiables versus preferences. And there's another key insight I want to share with you. To me, this principle is about less is more. And I'm kind of borrowing from the Tao Te Ching on this, which is a brilliant ancient book of wisdom. But you might have heard the saying that what we own owns us. Now, how is this relevant to this discussion, right? Because the way I look at it is the more we believe we need more this or more that to be happy, the harder we make it for ourselves to actually achieve that happiness, right? More stuff. You want more stuff, right? Well, then you got to buy it, right? You got to budget for it. You got to store it. You got to maintain it, insure it. Right? If you think happiness is going to come by being able to control situations better, control your partner more, right? Get them to stop the behavior that you don't like. You usually wind up having more stress over the things that it turns out that you can't control, right? Does that resonate with anybody? Okay, I'm just kind of surfing through the comments here. Okay, cool. And then, guys, pillar 3, very simply. Now that you know where you're at and where you want to be, is just get the right guidance, support, and tools to become the person who attracts and creates what you want naturally. And I'm going to kind of get into this a little bit more. Now, a couple of key pieces about getting the tools, right? We're not therapists. We're not psychologists or psychiatrists, right? We're life and relationship coaches with various certifications, tons of real life experience and experience coaching and serving people to live their best lives. That being said, I really recommend that you get help on the level where the problem exists, right? So, for example, you have unresolved health issues. Is that holding you back? Make that appointment. Make that appointment with a doctor for a checkup. You want to improve your fitness? Hire a personal trainer, right? Do the things. You want to gain more knowledge? Get back to reading. right? You can take online courses. That's blowing up these days. There's a lot of great information, education you can gain online. You want to speed up your results in virtually any area of life, hire a qualified coach. Okay. And what we recommend doing in that regard is hiring someone with extensive experience and proven results helping people like you. Because that's the thing too. Like you might get someone with you know, a bunch of degrees, but they just got out of school. They got no real life experience. Or you might find a coach online, they're a relationship coach, and it turns out they just took like a $47 weekend certification, right? So find people that actually have experience and proven results, getting the results that you want, right? Helping people like you. And there's sort of kind of a hint too that I want to share with you. A mistake that a lot of people make, especially when people have felt alone, or codependent, they're thinking more about others than themselves. Is a common mistake is feeling like they think they need to do it all on their own. Is that you? Like I know we've talked to Steph has talked to a lot of people who felt like, oh, I've always been on my own. It's up to me, right? I'm gonna make my way. Well, look, no hard feelings, but I got to ask, like, how's that been working out for you? You know what I mean? My point is, you don't have to do it on your own. I used to be the same way. I was stubborn. You couldn't tell me shit. Advice, even when it was good advice, just by virtue of feeling self-conscious, maybe, I don't know, disempowered. I just wouldn't hear it. But you don't have to do it on your own. As a matter of fact, the most successful people, it really in any area of life, actually get mentorship from experts who've overcome what they're dealing with, but more importantly, achieved what it is that they want to achieve. This is really a pro tip on how to massively speed up your progress in any area of life. Because look, it's not to say that you can't figure it out on your own. A lot of us go that way, and eventually, like, we find our answers. But the question is, like, how long is it going to take without help? And now, obviously, when we're talking about using these tools, there's an investment involved with hiring someone to benefit from their years of experience and expertise. But you can always make more money. The point here is that the one thing you can't get more of is time. So if you want to get the tools, if you want to achieve that, bridge the gap quickly so you can feel better quickly, that's my recommendation to you. Now, to build the life you desire, our philosophy is you really have to have a solid all-around foundation. You can make all the money you want, right? But if you don't have health, you'll die before you can fully enjoy it. You can have a lean, fit, healthy body, but if you don't learn healthy boundaries, for example, right, or what a healthy relationship looks like, you wind up just feeling alone and disconnected, right? You can have all your worldly desires, but if you don't have a sense of purpose and connection to something bigger than yourself, you'll live a superficial life. You can spend all your money on food, drinks, lavish lifestyle. You spend your time binge watching your favorite shows, but if you don't invest in yourself in the right ways, you wind up ending up broke or broken. It's hard to say. So, guys, the key insight that I'm going to share at this point is look, we know the road ahead can sometimes be scary. Even when life sucks, we often stay there because the familiar is comfortable. Now, what I'm going to recommend, and it's a hard pill to swallow and a real barrier for people a lot of times to really changing, we need to accept that change can be very uncomfortable. And it's why many people fear it. But I mean, think about it. In order to achieve something we've never had, we need to do something we've never done before. We need guidance from people who have the know-how to get where we want to be. The support from people who understand and can actually empathize with our challenges, like people who've walked in our shoes, and also celebrate our wins, right? People who can appreciate that. But most importantly, actual tools to quickly change our mindset at a fundamental level to actually become the person who gets the results we want. And again, that's kind of what I was referring to before when I talked about change versus transformation. So that's kind of the summary. Was that helpful, guys? I prepared the content. I wanted to kind of stay on point. So if you got value out of that, can you let me know? Comment value in the comments. I don't know how well these comments are coming up here, but hopefully that was valuable for you guys. Cool. So guys, hopefully that gave you some insight and direction. Now, look, we go into a lot more depth with these principles in our, what you probably heard called the Inner Circle, our group coaching program. We're coming up on time for our show tonight. If you got to jump off the call, totally get it. I wanted to take actually a couple of minutes before we get into the Q&A, if we have time, to share a little bit about one of the aspects that I covered, one of the most powerful tools that we offer to really help you create your own transformation. And then I can see if there are any questions I can answer in the Q&A portion. Is that cool, everybody? Cool. We got some value. Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate your interaction and your support on my solo live night. So cool. All right, cool. So when Steph and I work with clients in our paid coaching program, what we do is we guide them through a specifically designed core curriculum to really help you dig deep on these questions, get clear on where you're at, identify your challenges and really your opportunities, like I talked about in Pillar 1. We also have exercises to really flesh out what kind of life you really want to create. And some people, I'm kind of surprised in a sense, thinking of where I used to be, but some people want the kind of life that we have. Loving partnership, the ability to pay our bills, serving people, doing what we love. We have the means within our Inner Circle program to help you flesh out that virtually a blueprint to designing your best life according to what matters most to you, like I kind of talked about in Pillar 2. But what I want to do before we wrap up is to take a minute to talk about one of the things that makes our program unique, because we've been getting a lot of questions and interest about it in the group, and that's SiteK. If those of you watching have heard me talk about this before, I light up when I get to talk about this because it's so powerful. So, kind of want to just share my perspective, right? My experience with it. So, a lot of people feel like life is happening to them instead of happening for them, and there's a lot of, concern over victim shaming and bad shit happens and you couldn't control it. Yeah, that's true. But remember, I'm talking about mindset here. Now, people a lot of times don't realize that the main difference between them and the people who are already successful where they aren't, even if they've gone through the same crap, right, is their mindset. It's their worldview, their view of themselves and what they're truly capable of. And look, you can get all the knowledge and information to be successful, but without the right mindset, that information is useless. It's just like books gathering dust on a shelf, right? Now, what I loved was hearing recently one of our coaches who said, mindset activates your skill set. Had another coach once who said mindset plus skill set equals jet set, but she was in a money-making niche. But in any case, your mindset, I want you to understand, your mindset dictates what you focus on. One of my favorite, most beloved teachers, Dr. Wayne Dyer, said once, we get what we think about, whether we want it or not. You know what I mean? So my question is this, right? What are you focusing on a daily basis? Your problems or your opportunities, right? Are you focusing on your losses, everything that's happened to you, or everything that you have to be grateful for? Do you focus on, the person who wronged you, getting their comeuppance, right? Revenge. Or do you focus on forgiveness, becoming lighter by letting that shit go? And the principle is whatever you focus on, you're going to get more of that. Now, what I want to share about SiteK is a key understanding here. What you focus on is guided by how you think, feel, and behave habitually, right? Now, your subconscious programming, which is installed automatically as a young child, usually from birth through about age 5, 6, or 7. Some even say as early as conception. And also specifically, guys, during times of heightened emotion, which unfortunately what we come across more often than not, it's trauma, right? The subconscious programming forms like a groove in the mind in a sense that your thoughts habitually flow through. It determines what you focus on, usually without you even realizing it, right? Does that sound familiar to anyone? Like you kind of catch yourself and like ask what the, and these programs, it creates your lens of perception, how you see yourself and how you see the world. Now, the reason, and I found this to be true personally, the reason that traditional therapy often doesn't get people the results they want is because it can create, mind you, a lot of conscious understanding. Like, you can get really clear on why you're screwed up, why you should do the things, be kinder to yourself, forgive those who've wronged you, whatever the case may be. But until you change at the subconscious level, you're just going to feel like you have one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake. You might be all pumped up and excited, I'm going to make a change, right? Like, think about it. It's why people fail at New Year's resolutions. Day one, they're like all pumped up, right? Excited, energized. And then somehow, usually I don't know how, they just backslide into old patterns of behavior. So if that sounds familiar, and I think it does probably for a lot of people, let me know. But what I want to share quickly is SiteK is basically a user-friendly way to gain access to the subconscious programming, to actually press the record button and re-record over the garbage that's maybe in there, and actually install beliefs that support who you want to become. This is a way to end self-sabotage for good. And that's powerful. Now it creates potential. You still have the ability to and the responsibility to take action, right? But you're going to stop kneecapping yourself, right? And we can go more into specific examples and stuff like that, but I want to kind of keep it short. I know we're getting late on time. Basically, what this does is it gives you the opportunity to rewrite your autopilot responses to life so you can naturally move in a better direction. And the cool thing is, it really doesn't matter how badly you've been feeling or for how long. Most beliefs can be changed with SiteK in literally 2 to 5 minutes with these tools, even if you've had them for your whole life. And by the way, this is an exercise in wishful thinking or affirmations. You will viscerally feel a shift. And we can test this with muscle testing. You can feel the stress and anxiety melt away. Now, because there's no area of our lives that isn't affected by our beliefs about it, this method of energy psychology called SiteK is very powerful. Now, on the one hand, you can use SiteK to change your habits, like, maybe you want to lose weight or quit smoking, end chronic stress and anxiety. But you can use it literally to change your personality and change any aspect of it. Your beliefs about self-esteem, your personal power, relationships, prosperity, your health and wellness, how you deal with grief, your sense of spirituality, connection to something higher, literally anything. And the cool thing about this is it's a way to literally change your personality and become the person that you dream of being. Again, remember I was talking about transformation. That's what this is. That's what this offers you. And when you do that, when you become what I like to call your superhero self, the biggest side effect is more peace of mind. And then the cool thing is accomplishing your goals just gets so much easier because you've freed up a ton of energy that used to be wasting on feeling bad. And one of the things I love about this and what's been true for me is that SiteK works really well, even if you've tried everything else and maybe it hasn't worked. Therapy, self-help books, support groups, code of 12 steps, whatever the case may be. Now, personally, I've been a SiteK facilitator for 10 years. I've seen remarkable transformations in all kinds of people from all different backgrounds all over the world. And the reality is it's become so powerful that probably a year and a half ago, when I joined Stephanie and our coaching company full time, SiteK has become an integral part of our paid coaching program. And one of the reasons why our clients finally get the results they've been searching for, even when they're skeptical. Like I love meeting with people who are like, I see all these other people doing well, but I don't know if it's going to work for me. Now, the cool thing is about this is that all you really need to have this work for you, to massively transform your life, guys, is to give yourself permission to change and be committed to it. And we can get into, another conversation another time about secondary gains, right? In the SiteK world, that's what we call perceived benefits to not changing, right? Maybe, you're in a crappy relationship, but you're more scared of being alone, so you stay. That's an example of that. But really, all you need to do is give yourself permission to change and be committed to it, and it can work miracles. Some of you guys might remember, I think it was on a live 2 weeks ago, we had one of our former clients, Elsa, on the show. She talked about how profoundly it changed her life, and I think it actually brought me to tears because it's just that powerful to be able to heal your inner child and be free finally and feel it at a deep level, and then watch your life unfold in new, amazing ways. If you're curious, there are a ton of testimonials you can watch in the group. Up towards the top of the group is the #testimonial. Check that out. There's written testimonials, videos, a lot of cool stuff. And again, it's changing lives. People just like you, group members who are in this group. Some of you might even be on the line with me now. And okay, so I know it's getting late. I'm sure Steph's looking at her watch like, is he finishing up? I could go on forever about this. But obviously we've only got a little bit more time tonight. I just want to say thanks to you guys as I wrap up the content portion. But if any of this resonates with you and you're ready for a real change, comment change in the comments and we'll reach out to see if you might be a good fit to work with us. personally in our group coaching program. And look, guys, I'm not saying you have to hire us, but if any of this hits home, I definitely encourage you to take advantage of the tools that are available to you out there. Because from my perspective, people suffer unnecessarily for far too long. I found this work and I thought to myself, like, man, if I had this, 2 decades ago, how much different would my life have been? Turns out that my challenges, probably like yours, have lessons to teach. So you don't want to miss out on the lessons. And the sooner you make this transformation, the sooner your life can massively change for the better. So was that helpful, guys? Let me know in the comments. I know we're getting on to about the end, so I want to see if there are any questions. Steph is fishing the group for questions. Let me see if I can scroll back here. I'm using a couple different screens here. Okay, a few people saying thank you. My pleasure, guys. This was fun for me. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. I don't usually get a chance to shine other than when I get a fresh shave. Sorry, dad jokes. Let me see. Okay, so Antonia, yeah, I think we might have connected, or you might have spoken with Steph. Guys, let us know. And look, this, the advice is free. We can always have a chat. It's a really good opportunity for you to connect with me, Steph, a member of our team, and see if you're a good fit, and we'd love to be able to point you in the right direction, even if you're not ready. Someone says, I've been interested in SiteK. Hit me up. Let's chat. Any questions, let me know. This doesn't show the name of who you are. Interested in going to SiteK, but I'm financially strapped right now. I have surgery coming up soon. Okay, look, people come to SiteK when they're ready for it. And I'm not here to tell you what's important. You decide for yourself what your priorities are and what to spend your money on. But we also have ways to help you out. So no harm in having a chat with us, even if you think you can't afford it right now. Cool. All right. Let's see. We got some questions. Do you want it? Let me see. I'll scroll down to the end. Steph's hollering from the other room. Valeria, should women always let guys make the first move? Cool. Well, I can answer that a couple ways. One would be no. Just to share with you, it was actually Stephanie who reached out to me. As some of you guys might know, that we actually met online on Plenty of Fish, of all places. A lot of shade for online dating, but I kind of feel like it's like anywhere else. You get maybe a whole bunch of losers to find the right one, but she was the one that reached out to me. That being said, what I will also layer on is, part of deciding what kind of life you want to have is deciding the rules. SiteK, as a side note, is a way to rewrite the rules and make it easier for you to win. So that being said, I'll ask you, would you like the guy to make the first move? Personally, I don't believe chivalry is dead. I don't know if I'd necessarily call myself the most enlightened man in the world. I believe in things that to me should be obvious, like, women's rights. Like, it's silly to me that that's even has to be a thing, but I digress. But I think there's a place for chivalry, and so isn't that better than a bar? Yeah, actually it is, because you can be sober and window shop. But yeah, should women always let the guy make the first move? You know what? It's always up to you. I kind of think that there are different attractor patterns. There are different things at play that bring people together. And I don't want to get too airy-fairy and like off the deep end with the spiritual side of things. I could chat about that in another time, but I'll say this much. I have had no problem being the assertive one, if you will, the one to, once I overcame my shyness, that is, right, my introversion and lack of self-esteem, right, and swing the pendulum and become arrogant, but I had no problem asking people out. Steph reached out to me, and she was the first one to make contact, and it really was never even a consideration, I think, like who made the first move. You know what I mean? Like, when it's right, it's right. So I don't know if that answered your question, but decide what you want, and that should be what's right for you. What else we got, babe? That's all. Great questions. I'm looking. Okay. Becky says it's been 32 years. I wouldn't even know where to start. The way we feel about it, Becky, is start where you're at, right? You can only make a step forward from where you're standing. And that's our approach too, right? Our coaching programs and our guidance is not like a one size fits all thing. All that matters is that you feel that you've had enough. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people have to hit rock bottom to get to that point, but you don't have to grow and change in a state of chaos and utter despair, right? You can make a change before you get to that point. And like I said, and this is especially true with SiteK, it's proven it time and time again that it doesn't matter how long you've been feeling this way. Now, ask yourself, could there be a lesson for me in all the pain that I've been going through? Is there some unmet need that's caused me to repeat these same behaviors over and over and get stuck? But I'll tell you, Becky, one of our former Inner Circle graduates comes to mind. One of the things she exclaimed to us right after her first SiteK session was, I woke up feeling excited about life for the first time in 50 years. A little emotional thinking about it. Like that's powerful. You know what I mean? It's never too late to make new plans, and really, like, at the core of this, I want you guys to understand, like, you owe it to yourselves to take a step. And again, the wake doesn't drive the boat. You don't need to judge yourself for where you've been. You don't owe a debt to your past, and another important point I want you to consider is we've all got a story, an important story. I referred before to the superhero self. I believe in the hero's journey archetype. We're the heroes in our own story. And for the most part, realizing that is just a matter of getting out of our own way. Okay, so awesome. We got some more questions coming in. I'm going to do my best to answer these. By the way, babe, I'll go late. If you guys want to hang out, I don't mind answering as many of the questions unless I get a hard stop from the wife. Yeah, I don't want to keep all of you on too long, but if this is helpful and you want to ask me some questions, let me know. So let's see. Where does one begin? Okay, so we talked about that. Kate asks, how do you figure out what's holding you back? Well, like I kind of described before, it's the subconscious programs. And the cool thing about the process we use is you don't have to figure out how you got screwed up in the first place. What we do, and in a SiteK session, I coach a lot to getting clear on where it is that you really want. It's sort of like editing a Word document, right? Like Microsoft Word. It doesn't matter what's in there. Maybe you have a file and it's titled, it's labeled self-esteem. Doesn't matter if it was created 30 years ago and it's filled with a bunch of garbage. All you need to know is how to access the file, how to edit it, and how to click save. Every subsequent time you go back to that file, you're going to get the new version, no ifs, ands, or buts. So you don't have to go through and analyze it. Yeah, and again, I talked before about how traditional talk-based therapy believes, or would have you believe, that insight is necessary in order to change. In a SiteK session, quite literally, you don't even have to tell me anything about your past. Of course, you could share if it helps, but it's more about getting clear on what it is that you really want. Let's see. Afraid of rejection, Valerie says. Yeah, okay, that's all right. We can solve that. And what's interesting is when you change at that subconscious level, you'll feel better, and then I'll say magically, you begin to magnetize new circumstances, better energies into your space. So you'll actually pull out the source of that fear at the roots. Jim says, how do you get rid of energy suckers, even the X? Well, I think there's a way to essentially immunize ourselves against negativity, and I know that might be a trigger word in today's world. Everyone's got their feelings about that. But you could protect yourself by building walls, build yourself off, close yourself off into a stone-walled castle, or you could fortify yourself with armor, and call it what you want, psychological, emotional, spiritual armor. The way to not get suckered is to become a person who can see through people's bullshit. And yes, you can get better at that. Again, I don't want to go too far into it, but as you evolve and level up your mindset, you have more access to your intuition, right? And that's really powerful, until telepathy, telepathic communication becomes widespread. If you travel those fringe circles, where there will be no more secrets and we'll easily be able to see when someone's bullshitting us. You can actually get in touch with your intuition, not just your gut feeling necessarily, because there's a difference, but you can learn and become a person who's more attuned. And like I said, at a more fundamental level, become a person who doesn't even attract charlatans into your life, but people that would take from you. You probably wind up attracting a lot more people who want to contribute positively. Goldie Ray says, I want to be a superhero. You are. You are. If you want help, getting your cape fitted, let us know. Jim says, dude, keep going. Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. Let's see. What else we got here? Okay. To find myself. Becky wants to find herself. Been a mom and wife for so long and lost 2 women along the way. That's one of the most beautiful things, Becky, for me in this process is when you see, I don't feel like this healing and growth process is a matter of becoming more or better or more deserving or smarter or more clever than you already are. It's really just about eliminating the noise and the static that's obscuring your vision of who you truly are. And when you step into this level of empowerment, it feels like coming home. You'll begin to get to know yourself at a deep level, maybe for the first time ever. And there's nothing like it. And we go deeper in the inner circle, and me personally, my coaching, into more the deep spiritual side of things, like the big picture stuff. Like, you matter. You're here for a reason. You have a purpose and a mission. And I help people uncover what that is through various means. And it's one of those things like when you know, right? No bullshit. And that's how you know. And that's what you can experience in a SiteK session. It's not going to be a situation where you're like, oh, okay, that was kind of neat. Dave's cool enough. I wonder if that worked. You can talk to any of our members who've experienced this as well. You feel a visceral shift at a deep level. Your energy changes. Most people are like, I felt like a weight was lifted, figuratively and literally, like a weight was lifted. Their breathing changes. Their posture changes. Their glow changes. So yeah, it's available to you. And again, all you need is to give yourself permission to change, right? And I know that's a challenge for a lot of us because we feel like we got to beat ourselves up. You don't have to, right? And be committed. And a lot of people, the commitment is just, making the appointment. 80% of success, like they say, is showing up, right? Charlene says, that's a big one. I haven't been excited about my life in 25, maybe even 30 years. Like I said, Charlene, it's never too late. And there's bigger implications than just you feeling better. I'm willing to bet there are people in your life that could benefit greatly from you being free of the stuff that's been holding you back. So I would encourage you to look into it. Let's see. I'm kind of just going back and forth, not really in an order here. So I sorry if I miss your questions. Again, feel free. Like if I don't get to your questions tonight, I'll take some time tonight and tomorrow to go back and answer them if I can, if it's helpful. So don't hesitate to let me know. Kala says, I'm not even sure where to start after being in an almost 6-year relationship and not working out in the end with their father. It's hard to know he's talking to someone else and me still, I guess, having some type of feelings for him. Yeah. I get that. And it's sometimes difficult to dream bigger, when you've been in a situation for so long. Right. And again, change can be uncomfortable. And a lot of times, if we have low self-esteem or self-doubt, we might not realize that anything's better. I mean, isn't that a reason why so many of us settle, right? For less than at some level we think we truly deserve. Well, imagine you were the author of your own story. And, when I talk to people, and I mentioned it earlier, like dream big. It was a challenge for me too. Luckily, that spark of hope and inspiration that I had as a young child never went out. And I learned how to bring that back into life, really. And if you're not sure, look, the cool thing about mindset change is like, even if you don't have a frame of reference for what kind of life you want to live, you can shop around. Mindset, these SiteK balances we do, they're almost like apps you can download from the App Store, right? You want better self-esteem? Well, you need to, you want the benefits of good self-esteem, I'll say, right? More confidence, more peace of mind, more resilience to stress, more willingness to take chances, right? And maybe you've never had that experience before. So what you got to do is shop around, right? Go to the App Store. And basically, in a session, what we can do is reverse engineer the mindset of somebody who's achieved what it is you want to achieve, right? Like one of our most popular SiteK balances programs into your subconscious to be true for you the statement, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. You put that on a post-it and just stare at it in the morning. You might say, okay, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh, it doesn't really stick. But what if that were true for you, balls to bones, without even thinking about it, and your reactions were a reflection of that state of mind? No bull. Okay, that's what I'm talking about here. Hopefully that made sense. Let's see. Ba, ba, ba. Okay. Babe, any other ones that you want me to answer? Okay. All right. Well, oh, wow, shoot. We're coming up on an hour. We still got a fair few people watching. Awesome. Let me just take one last look. I'm having a lot of fun. What's that? Okay. All right. Let me see. Scroll down to the bottom. Okay. Okay. Carolyn. Hey, Carolyn. Yeah. Absolutely frozen with fear. Will I go backwards? Will I be controlled again? I don't have enough confidence in myself. Working on me now. Well, Carolyn, you and I have connected before. I don't want to blow up your spot. I respect your interest or not to, kind of share what your experience has been. But look, I'll put it to you this way. SiteK is tremendously powerful, and very often we can achieve groundbreaking results even in one session. I mean, years of negativity peeled off. But that being said, a lot of times we're like onions. A lot of times we peel off one layer, and then something that's been kind of under the surface comes to the surface to be examined. We spent decades getting into the place that we're at. And I don't want to just say that Rome wasn't built in a day, but it takes some time. And I think a really important part of this process is, and again, it's a lesson that I've learned, is to be patient with ourselves. Be patient with ourselves. Practice a little kindness. More often than not, these issues that come up in our lives have lessons to teach, and that's one of the things that's so brilliant about SiteK is it acknowledges that, right? It bears in some respects similarity to hypnotherapy in terms of creating a receptive brain state. But with hypnotherapy, for example, very often they don't consider whether or not the change you want to make is actually safe and appropriate for you, right? Because again, if the challenge is in your life of a message, you don't want to kill the messenger, right? Because then life's going to come back around and whack you like a 2x4. All right. You might say, I want to feel better in my relationship, but there's a lesson there that maybe you shouldn't be in that relationship, right? You don't want to just put a Band-Aid on it. And again, my point though, Carolyn, is like, it may take some time. Sometimes it takes additional SiteK sessions. Sometimes it takes other things. And, SiteK isn't the only way. It's the most powerful way I've found, and I was turned on to it by Dr. Bruce Lipton, whom I strongly recommend you look into if you're interested in. He has a book, The Biology of Belief, which is powerful. I didn't even get into the physiological benefits of removing chronic stress at its source. Less stress, better sleep, less chronic pain, lots of stuff. But I digress. But yeah, give yourself some time, be patient. And by all means, if you want to chat, hit me up. We can brainstorm. We can see if maybe another session is appropriate. So guys, it's getting late. I called it, right? I told you at the beginning, I get going and it's tough to shut me up. Hopefully that was helpful. I want to say thanks again to you guys. Thanks to Steph for taking a well-deserved night off and letting me have the floor. Appreciate it. This work means a lot to us. And, it's because we've experienced firsthand the changes that these techniques, the guides, support, and tools that we share with you have made in our own lives. So I want to say thank you to everybody. And again, if you're curious about whether or not it might be a good fit for you, let us know. Comment change in the comments. I see a bunch of people saying change. That's awesome. And look, it's, not too much to say from my perspective that this could be the turning point, because it's got to happen somewhere, right? And the reality is that change only and always happens right now. I used to kick the can down the road, and then I regretted it. Like, oh, all the time lost, right? I love the expression. The best time to make the change was 20 years ago, right? The second best time is now. And I'm not going to say it's easy, right? You have to muster some fortitude, but you've got us to support you, to guide you, to help guide you through the challenges and the confusion, help you get clear. And we're not meant to suffer. We're meant to thrive. Just work with us, or do what you got to do to learn the lessons, get the tools to change, and your life can change rapidly, very, very quickly. So that being said, any final thoughts? No? No? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Check us out here every Thursday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. And again, if you're watching this as a replay, put your comments, comment change. If you want to chat, see if this can work out for you. And any other questions that you have for me, hit me up. I'd love to hear them and read them and see if I can give you some insight. So thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you next time.